And it looks like I'm live. But am I Memorex? That joke just never gets old, does it? Lance Chafin was just knocking on the online door. $5 says he's the first one in. $5 says it could be somebody else. I'm a firm believer in bedging my hits. But I'm sure someone will show up. I'm actually a few minutes early. I took a few extra minutes tonight just to check things out, make sure all the settings were double plus good and all that. We don't want any inadvertencies now, do we? But I'll just sort of ramble on and on until somebody actually shows up in my live chat settings. And of course, like and of course subscribe and let me know if I'm buffering or if there's any sound problems. I checked the settings again before I came on, but these setting problems have become the bane of my existence. The bane of my Batman villains, you might say. I'm gonna have a sip of milk. I find when I'm gonna scratchy throat, milk actually coats the throat a little better. So this may keep me from having a coughing binge. We have a winner, John Collins in the house. John, so good of you to see you. And immediately followed by Keith E. Said, "What I miss you? Do you sound like you're?" Oh, hang on. Do you sound like you're? Here. What did I miss? Do you sound like you're in an air vacuum? And do I sound like I'm in an air vacuum? Kenneth Wilkinson says, "Hi, Bob." I'm using this microphone, the one that Dave gave me, and I checked the settings on it, and I thought it was okay. Is the sound okay? Should I adjust it? I'm just afraid to do anything to it because that might actually destroy it. Anyway, if I'm actually if the sound's okay, someone let me know. I know there's three of you there. Somebody say just thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs all around. And then we shall get this proverbial party started. Isn't it sad that we always have to start with some kind of a technical review of my equipment and whatnot? We can't just go in. John Collins says, "I can hear you just fine." Good. Kenneth Wilkinson says, "It sounds good." Um, so Keith, I apologize. It might be something on your end if the other guys can hear me okay. I could say this is crazy. Oh, okay. Keithy says, "You sound okay now. It's okay. It's okay. The hippopotamus was standing on the cord. You sound okay now. It's okay. It's okay. The hippopotamus was standing there on the cord." I feel like I should do that in beat poetry. Like, Daddy-o, it's okay. Like, the hippopotamus was like standing on the cord, okay? Like, no? All right, I'll stop there. So, anyway, forgive the over dramaticism in my response to the sound bites. I try to hop on these technical problems ASAP, you might say. But thank you, and I'm glad things are going okay now. And moving forward, Georgia Ayers. Irez. I'm gonna get it right this time if it kills me. Irez says, "Hi, Trash Pawns," and hi to you as well, by the way. Thank you so much for joining us. John Doe, the great one, has arrived. You're welcome. No, thank you. Um, and it's John Doe this time and not Neutron. But I might just keep calling you Neutron John, by the way. That's a very catchy nickname for you. Wajamin is in the house, says hello, everyone. He's been putting out so much content in the last week. He's done some absolutely phenomenal dad jokes. Please check out his dad jokes. Mr. Led says, "You sound fine, Thrash. How you doing?" I'm doing a little better. My wife's actually sick. That's the weird thing. I think maybe I had something and I passed it to her because I was like better the next morning. In fact, to be honest, I was attributing it to the that cold snap we got here in the Northeast. I had to crank my furnace, and I think it was furnace dust. Gave me the scratchy throat because I've always been sensitive to furnace air. But here's where the irony kicks in. My wife's gotten sick, and it's just a nasty cold, but she's like, ugh. And, she's like, "Oh, I have a fever. Oh, I'm dehydrated. Oh, I smell toast." Well, she's been quiet for a while now. I'm kidding. Anyway, I shouldn't even kid, but I'm going to. That strange sense of humor of mine. Big Guys 45 says, hello, peeps. Hello to you too, big guys, by the way. Oh, and I love the content you've been putting out as well, by the way. Some great vintage Lost 45s on his channel as well. Do check it out. He then goes on to say, and hey, you're growing. I am growing. I'm up to 209. Considering I lost a few in the last week or two, it's nice to be going in the opposite direction, actually getting some more and more people. And thank you. That's very nice of you to mention that. Although Darrell's not here yet, but so far we've got 12 people in and 2 likes. We can do better than that, guys. I'm going to skip through the hellos. The View with Drew says, hey, what's up? The View, great to have you with us, by the way. Nothing particularly scripted, just sort of 2022 commemorative, big events, things you remember from the past year. Bobby Renee is back. And he's talking to me when he says hi, host. He's referring to me specifically. I thought he was talking about the movie The Host last time, but The Host with the most. I love that. And the rest of the best. I like that too, by the way. Although I'm trying to make this work. Thrash. See if we can make that work, folks. John Collins says, Bob, as you know, I've merely dabbled with the idea of trying to do just simply one live stream, and I've watched some videos, and it does seem very, very complicated, as if speaking in a different language. Actually, you know what I do? Do you have a camera? Go into YouTube, hit go live. You'll have to put in some information as if you were making a post, and then just hit go live, and the camera comes on, and I start speaking. And as long as my camera works and I don't freeze up and the microphone keeps working, you do pretty good. Superplex in the house. Superplex says, Happy New Year, T Pawns fans. Happy New Year to you as well. Tom, the Hungry Jerk, says, Hi, everyone. And hello to you. Oh, Tracy Ross Myers is here with us. Tracy Ross Myers says, Happy New Year, guys. Happy New Year to you. I'm going to try really hard not to miss any messages. I missed a couple of John's last week. I must have just. Sometimes when I think people are just having fellowship, I kind of have to skip through, and I missed a couple of his, and I'm still sorry, John. Please forgive. So I'm going to try like the Dickens not to do that tonight. Let's see. And I just jumped, so I'm going to have to skip back just to make sure I get everybody's. Darrell Johnson, speaking of the Devils, in the house, says, Bob, Darrell, great to see you. Dilly Dan's The Good Stuff says, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all. And Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you as well. Dan, love the new comic videos you've been putting out recently, by the way. Please feel free to send links. You always do that on my behalf, but feel free as well. Going to skip through everybody saying hello to everyone, but I'm greeting them very, very thoroughly while I do it. I'm going to skip down. The View says, what do you guys think is the best movie of the year? I think Top Gun Maverick. I'm actually the wrong person to ask. I only see movies if I can see them on HBO Plus. In fact, I found out the movie I actually picked from this year was actually from last year. I'm a vintage movie buff. So, you know what? I'm going to go with you, The View, and say Top Gun Maverick. I'll vote for that. But if you guys have other votes as well, feel free to vote them in. Big Guys 45 says, I don't remember Bobby. LOL. Daryl Johnson says, hey, Bobby. I think Bobby came in when you were having a late supper last time. But yeah, he's one of our new regulars. Lance, J. Finn, hiya, Thrash. Lance, I knew you'd make it. By the way, I got the message, by the way. You were like, where is ya? I was just signing in. I was just checking the settings and all that. But I'm here, and I'm glad you could make it. Terrell Eugene Bellinger says, happy final Thursday of 2022. Teb, I couldn't have said it better myself. Oh, Bobby Renee is crying with laughter. Yeah, I get that a lot. A lot of people saying hello to everyone. Cindy D is here and says hello, everyone. Cindy, so great to see you, by the way. And I love your idea about another Forgotten 45 lyrics. That's something I did a couple times a while back. What I was doing is I would take 80s song lyrics Songs that everyone knows. Every time they play them on the radio or in a pub, you sing along with them, but lines in them that nobody gets right. I do them in blocks of 10. And part one is the song with the missing lyric. You try to put the missing lyric in, and then I do a part two where I provide the missing lyric for people who didn't get it, or at least to see if they got it right. And those are so much fun. I'm actually going to do another one. Might take me a couple days to compile it because I hadn't planned on it, but they are fun. So watch for another one of my forgotten 80s song lyrics in the not too distant future. And how can it be so far behind? Let's see. Oh, there's Cindy D. Oh, that's right. Well, a lot of people having fellowship, and that's always good. That's what this whole thing is about, the fellowship. Daryl Johnson says, "Hey, Tom, got your snacks and beer." Oh, we're well on our way. We're well on our way. Um, when is a bear like a beer? When it's a brewing. John Doe says, "No problem, Thrash." John, thank you for letting me off the hook, but I will endeavor to do better, by the way. Imagine what Dave goes through. I get like, between 5 and 1,500 comments in one of my shows. He gets well in the thousands. Doo-doo-doo. I'm going to try to race through these so I don't jump. Tom says, "Just ate a pizza and having a brew in this rainy California weather." Whoever thought rainy California weather would be a thing? I thought it never rains in Southern California. Zuplex says, "Is the bar open New Year's Day?" Yes, but I believe it's the following week we're actually going to be closing for renovations. But last I heard, we're open on New Year's Day, which is asinine because all at Cape Cod is hungover, so no one goes out for a heavy Italian dinner. But who am I to argue with genius? A lot of people saying Happy New Year. Gary Carpenter saying Happy New Year. Gary, I'm so glad you could make it. Welcome to the soiree, I must say. Daily Dan just gave us one of his world famous links. Is it a Lancelot Links? A Lancelot Links? We'll Google it. Okay. Gary Carpenter says Z Thrasher. You could go with that. Thrash. Zublex asks, "What's up with the apologetic geek?" My understanding is Tug has been buried with various projects of his and some stuff he wants to do in the new year. So he has just been unable to make it as of late. But I still talk to him on Facebook, by the way. So he might make it tonight, if not hopefully definitely in the new year. He's got a few things he wants me to work on in the new year. Kevin Davis says, "Happy New Year," and a Happy New Year to you too. John Doe says, "Cracker Jack is teaming up with Hormel Chili. The product will be called Crack Whore." I might have to use that. Teb says, "Which 2022 celeb death hit you the hardest?" We've just learned that Pele and Vivian Westwood have both passed. I did not hear about Vivian, but Pele, I just heard, and that was very, very, very sad. I was thinking maybe you guys can help me out here. Remember, Wheaties always had American sports figures in the box. The first foreign national to be featured in a Wheaties box that me and all my friends suddenly were talking about was Mr. Pele. He was like the first sort of international sports symbol I remember being on a Wheaties box, and he really did jumpstart soccer. I'm sorry, football in the United States. It was around before that, but it became a much bigger player afterwards. As far as a death that really hit me, there were so many. You should have given us a list of suggestions. For some reason, I don't know. I think Irene Cara really broke my heart. Probably because one, she wasn't that much older than I was, and two, she was sort of the sound of the '80s and the '80s generation. I don't know. There were a lot of others, and I'm sure if you mentioned 20 of them, I'm sure at least 16 of them also broke my heart. But for right now, I'm gonna say Irene Cara because that one That one really. I know. Well, as a Trekkie, Nichelle Williams. Did I say? Nic- you know, Nichelle Nichols, Nichelle Williams, Nichols was very, very, very sad as well. But please feel free to put your own in the comment section. John Collins says, Bob, as we were going off the air last time, I asked, being that you're in the restaurant business, which would you rather be, other than, of course, the restaurant owner, rather be the bartender or the server? Bartender. I love bartending. It's actually I find it fun. Uh, Cindy D says thank you, Thrash. I love those. Did I? Oh, did I glitch? I think I glitched. Anyway, keep me posted. Tom the Hungry Jerk says last first run movie I've seen is The Force Awakens. Gary Carpenter says, ouch. Kevin Davis says last movie I saw was Ad Astra. James Dye is in the house. James, that's so good to see. I haven't seen any new movies this year. Yeah, I never get to the theaters anymore. Although I might go see King Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. They're showing that in Dennis, which is the next town over from me. And I just jumped it. I think I may have missed something. So I'm going to skip through. Tom says, my new job is cooking in an Italian restaurant. That sounds phenomenal. Let me know what your specialty is. Bobby Renee says, host, you can put chat on slow, like one comment every 45 seconds for each of us. I could. I saw that. I feel half the fun of this is everybody getting to throw out as many comments as they like, and me just trying to get through them all. John Doe says, I really watching movies up into the late 90s. Yeah, I'm a vintage movie buff too, by the way. I must confess I prefer old movies to current ones. Kevin Davis says 2022 was a good year for us space nerds. It certainly was. Gary Carpenter says, did y'all hear that Pele has died? We sure did. We were talking about that a second ago. Tom says, I'm buffering again. Yeah, I glitched. I was frozen for a second. Hopefully that all goes away. Tracy Rosmeyer says, how are the pasta dishes at your restaurant? Mine are fantastic. I'll let Tom speak for his, but mine are excellent. Cindy D says, Pele. Pele put international soccer on the map. He certainly did. Bobby Renee says, life was Pele's goal. Yes. Big Guy says, rest in peace, Pele. Indeed, indeed. Kevin Davis says, no, it's soccer. You're right. The foundation is here. The foundation. What's going on, sunshine? Hello, guys. Stopping by whilst I get ready for work. 1 a.m. here. Well, 1:07 technically. Hope you're all doing well. We so are. So glad you could. I know it's kind of a time jump for you. I go through the same thing when I want to go on the Dark Corners live chats. So more sympathetic I could not be. But thank you for stopping in, and we're doing well. And thank you for asking. Keithy says, I just went to the lobby, hit thumbs up, and it said there was 0. I'm sure that's incorrect. Hi, Daryl. Of all people, yes, I'm Daryl. Yeah, it looks like I'm 13 of 22. Bobby Renee says he was a soccer for soccer. He was a soccer for soccer. Mr. Lynn says, I had a phone call. What did I miss? Well, the big question so far is what celebrity death of 2022 seemed to hit you the hardest? Cindy D says, Irene Cara, me too, Thrash. I loved her. Yeah, that one really broke my heart. Gary Carpenter says, fame, I'm going to live forever. Kevin Davis, Nichelle Nichols, yes, that's all. I said Nichelle Williamson, who was, I believe, a Scottish actor, English actor, probably best known for playing Merlin in Excalibur, one of my favorite movies. I meant Nichelle Nichols. Two very different people. But yeah, she broke my heart as well, by the way, as a Trekkie. Kevin Davis goes on to say the biggest loss from 22 had the pleasure of meeting her, a very lovely lady. That is cool squared, Kevin. When did you meet her? Details, please. Detail. I'm assuming Star Trek convention. Tracy Rosmeyer says I can barely stay up past 8:20. Don't worry, we still got 7 minutes left. Azuplik says Olivia Newton-John broke my heart. Now that one I can certainly see that. Cindy D says I'm gonna learn how to fly. Hi. Teb says, and I knew I was gonna jump as soon as I started reading it. Bob Saget, Leslie Jordan, Kevin Conroy, Jason David Frank, Ray Liotta, James Caan, Paul Sorvino, Tony Sirocco said, yes, those were all very, very sad. Paul Sorvino actually was a huge hit to me, by the way. I have a Paul Sorvino story, which I'll save for a later time because I'm way behind here. But and he said earlier, Olivia Newton-John's passing really broke my heart. Feels like most Gen Xers have grown up with her thanks to her music, Grease, and Xanadu. I'm not going to say Xana don't, by the way. It's inappropriate at this time. The unapologetic geek is in the house. Tug says, I have returned. We were just talking about you. I was explaining to our fan base how busy you've been the last couple of weeks, and that we had some projects coming out in the new year, but you've been very, very busy. And I'm so, so grateful, as I'm sure they all are, that you made it. Thank you for joining us, by the way. Oh, and I love the latest Out of Limits special you did. Gary Carpenter says Loretta Lynn broke my heart. Again, there's no wrong answer. Gary Carpenter says Angela Lansbury also did. I can see that as well. Tracy Ross Miner says the last movie I saw was about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and that's it. I haven't seen that movie. How was it? John Doe says, what simple mixed drink would you give for New Year's? Not harsh, but strong. Well, my favorite cocktail of all time is the Singapore Sling. It's basically it's a Tom Collins with some uh, cherry brandy on the top. But I'd probably go with there was a cordial that someone mixed for me ages ago, and it's actually it's surprisingly tasty and refreshing. It's called Reactor Water, and it's equal parts amaretto and blue curacao over the rocks, and you sip it, and it's actually really good. Um, so as for a sipping drink, which is kind of what you want for New Year's, I'd go with that. Um, Other than that, I'm a beer man with a champagne toast on the hour. Zublik says people ignore the death of Joan Hotchkiss. I'm afraid that I did. I apologize. Tug says, hey, y'all, I've been missing because I was visiting family for the last 2 weeks. Oh, you were also visiting family. I thought it was because of the other projects you've been putting in. But family is even more important than projects, particularly this time of year. No worries. We know we'll get plenty more Tug stuff down the road. But again, thank you for joining us tonight. And hopefully you can stick around. Gary Carpenter says, Z, I didn't know she had died. Tom says, the death of Dawn Wells hit me hard. That's another biggie. A lot of people glad to see Tug back. Terrell Eugene Bellinger said, oh, I already read those. Gary Carpenter says, Thrasher, I'm a big old movie buff fan, especially of sci-fi. Me too. Huge. Huge. Oh, did you get to see my last Features of Creatures, by the way? I did an old sci-fi film there. Oh, John Doe says buffering. I'm sorry. We're going to keep our fingers crossed. Hopefully this fixes itself. If not, we'll call it an early night again. Daryl Johnson says, I saw The Robot versus the Aztec Mummy. I love that movie. In fact, I think I have it on videotape buried in my collection. Dilly Dan gave us another link to Tug's channel. Yeah, you got to check out Tug's channel. I mean, I love his retrospects, sci-fi retrospects. Great stuff. Gary Carpenter says to Tom, me too, her, and Donna Douglas. Ooh, Donna Douglas is another good one. Zuplik says, "Was that a Santos film, Daryl?" I don't think that was Santos. I think there was a wrestler in it, but I don't think Santos was in it. Um, I did see one with Santos recently. He was playing a secret agent or something, and this evil mad scientist in Mexico had resurrected the Universal monsters, and Santos thwarted them with the aid of some of his friends. I have no idea what they called this, but it was downright surreal. Um, John Doe says, "What's your top three fun schlock movies?" My top three. I love so many of them. It would almost more have to be at random, but and because schlock's a funny thing, by the way. Schlock has to be of low production value. Some of them might be of better production value than others, but I love Phoenix the Warrior, otherwise known as, I believe it's also known as Warriors of the Wasteland. We all know I love Night of the Living Dead, probably my favorite horror movie of all time. And another schlock film. Um, I don't know. Little Shop of Horrors, the original. I'm gonna go with that, which I might do for one of my feature creatures. Let's see what we've got here. 23 Rothmeyer says too many have died this past year. Teb says 2022 will always and forever be remembered. Oh, you just jumped again. I'm so sorry. Remembered for something that I can't read. Oh wow, I'm way behind. Um, wait, I can't be that far back. I'm that far back. No kidding. I'll try to catch up. Uh, for the slap heard round the world at the Oscars. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, I certainly do. When Will Smith, the one who gave us that tragic, awfully tragic rendition of "I Am Legend," got up and knocked the taste out of Chris Rock's mouth, and then stood by it, rather than say, "I'm sorry that I decked you in front of a half a billion people." I know exactly what you're talking about. But in fact, I did a top 10 jokes about that. Georgia Ares says, "Have you seen Family Funeral by Alfred Hitchcock?" Not off the top of my head, I'm afraid. Kevin Davis says, "I met her at Wizard World convention and I did get her autograph. That is awesome." Number one dude is with us tonight. Number one dude, how you doing, dude? Says, "Happy New Year, Thrash. Happy New Year to you as well, by the way." Zuperplex says, Willard Smith Jr., the Slapinator. he was always a bully. Tug says, "James Caan surprised me by how much it got to me." He was a biggie. No, James Caan was in fact a biggie. The foundation says, "Out of the interest thrash." Oh, out of interest thrash. How are you? How are your watch hours doing off the back of these lives? Always a good time on these? Question mark. My average watch hours have gone up. Um, Not enough to get monetized, but substantially because I do get a certain amount of rewatch as well. So thank you for asking. It helps. If I could just get the number of subscribers up, I might really have something. Do one or two of these a month. You see where this is going, don't you? Cindy D says Christine McVie. She was the nice voice of the Fleetwood Mac. She certainly was. Number one dude says hit the like button when I walked in the door. Thank you. Dave Blue in the house. What's happening, friends? So good to see you. Tom Lemery's here, but he retracted his message. I know. Message retracted to you. But hello, Tom Lemery. Glad you could make it. Now I'm gonna have to. Oh, Daily Dan has given us some uh links. Tug is thanking me for a shout out. I'm gonna have to Oh, Tug's giving us a recipe for a drink. Tequila fizz, tequila, ginger ale, sugar. It barely even tastes like alcohol. Tom Lemony says, hi, Thrash, and hi, everyone. Mike Silva in the house. Awesome. This dystopian wasteland is going to turn her into a Furiosa? Furiosa style killing machine. John Collins says, this is totally random. I was watching Win, Lose, or Draw reruns on YouTube, and this is no disrespective either one. However, has anyone ever noticed that Marky Post and Teresa Ganzel look identical? I haven't. Gary Carpenter says, Thrasher, what do you know about Shirley Temple? I know it's a non-alcoholic drink, ginger ale and grenadine. If you add vodka to it, it becomes a dirty Shirley. And I know she was married to John Agar. That is the sum total that I know about Shirley Temple. Mike Silva says, film, we must consider the greater good. Jonah and the Bots, the greater good. Not sure what film, but I'm sure it's a good one. Teb says Don Wells died in 2020. Hungry jerk. We're talking 2022. Oh, yeah, specifically, yeah, 2022. But that was a very sad death. Let's face facts. Mike Silva says it's called Interstellar. Matthew McConaughey is in it, and Matt Damon. Matt Damon. Tracy Mars says to Tug that she loves the videos, his videos. Number one dude says Thrash. ENC is supposed to be your right hand man reading some comments. He's going to be out of the loop for probably at least a month. Other engagements. John Doe says Thrash. I might be moving soon to Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. So can you throw up your email on screen, and so I can email you? Do I still have that? No, I don't, and that's an important thing for my wife. I will. Let me catch up, but I will. It's all one word lowercase, Thrash Pondo, and then it's 10410 at gmail.com. If that works, great. If not, I will write it down and post it. Dan says, vodka for me, make me a white Russian Pons. This is actually a virgin white Russian. Get it? Mike Silva says commentary about not going back in time and doing what was the plot of this movie. That being going back in time to ride a dinosaur and kill Hitler. Sue Storm is the Invisible Woman. There's a lot going on in that comment, but thank you very much, Mr. Silva. Gary Carver says, don't forget Betty White. How could anyone? I'm gonna have to skip down because, like I said, I'm way behind. If I skip anyone's comment, please feel free to post it again. I really want to get back up to the top here. Oh, or down at the bottom, I should say. Although I just froze, didn't I? Wow, I must be way behind. If my comment section actually locked. Oh, Mandy Butler's in the house. Says, hi, my friends. Mandy, I'm so glad you could join us. And John Bernstein says, James Caan played Mississippi in Howard Hawks' El Dorado, a remake of Rio Bravo. Love that movie. Isn't Ed Asner plays the villain in that, doesn't he? Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe I have the right movie. And I believe I'm actually caught up. So, and I know I missed a lot of people's comments while I was trying to catch up. So please, if I missed your comment, I'm going to read Teb's here. Terrell Eugene Billington says Everything Everywhere All at Once is one of my best picks for the best movie of 2022. You should check this out because Ke Hu Kwan, data from the Goonies, is in it. Okay, if you made a comment before this and I haven't read it, post it again, please. Trey Rosmeyer says the Queen got me. I can see that. Suplex says, "What's that hungry jerk?" Tom, you mean you missed Rob Lowe's singing Cinderella? I'm glad you missed that. Mandy Butler says, "Thrash. When did you first love movies Like a nerd. That is an excellent question. I have loved movies my entire life. I remember my mother and father took me to see Pinocchio in a movie theater when I was 4 years old. It was the 1971 re-release of Pinocchio, and just going to a theater and getting popcorn and just sitting there watching movies. And then I could found that I could watch them at home with my father. That my earliest memories of my father was watching like Creature Double Feature and stuff like that on Saturday afternoons. But when I started watching them like a geek, that is to say, really appreciate them. I think when I was early high school and I started watching like those movie shows that actually gave me the behind the scenes stuff behind the movies and how they were made. And I remember I fell in love with Casablanca and I studied that movie in depth. So, and I'm guessing that was about 40 years ago. So, the short answer to your question is I'd say about 40 years. Tom says Temple was an ambassador to England also. I forgot that. Tug says, it again, please. Yes, it again, please to you. Mandy Butler says, me too. Teb says, the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial was all over the news this year with Johnny ended up winning. Good. Never liked her. Mandy Butler says, you have a great memory. Thank you. Thank you. About the things I want to remember, at least. Well, sadly, a lot of things I don't. John Bernstein says, James Caan made that movie. He basically took the Ricky Nelson part from Rio Bravo and made it more gritty and funny, playing Alan Bardillion Tremaine. I'm sorry, it was moving when I was trying to read it. I get a headache trying to read comments as they're scrolling. But again, I want to thank you guys for every single comment. So, oh, Tom says, glad you feel better, Lance. Yes, Lance wasn't feeling well for a while, so we're very, very, very happy that you feel better. John Doe says, I like pretzels, especially yogurt covered pretzels. It was bound to happen sooner or later. Lance Javen says, James Caan in Misery, probably his best role. Definitely his best role. Mandy Butler says Casablanca. Again, love Casablanca. Possibly my favorite movie of all time. Possible exception, Dr. Zhivago, but I've always loved Casablanca. I'm a World War II buff and a movie buff. Put the two together. Sydney D says, I love Disney's Fantasia in second grade. I was hooked. Superlook says, I always loved movies. I remember watching Brainiac, which was in Spanish El Baron del Terror. Is that the one? It's about the warlock who gets burnt at the stake and he comes back 300 years later for revenge. Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that in its original Spanish. En español, mi amigo. Gracias, patrón. Perdón, mi español es mi malo. Tug says Casablanca was my intro to film geekdom as well. I think you and I were twin separated at birth. The fact that I'm about 15 years older than you doesn't seem to actually, what is it? We decided 12 years older, right? 67, I think you said 78, 79. Well, but yes, you and I have very similar film histories. Gary Carpenter says, my first movies were Wizard of Oz. Saw that on TV, loved it. El Dorado, King Kong versus Godzilla, one of my favorite movies of all time. And it's a mad, 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 mad world. Love it. Love all of them. Mandy Butler says, Thrash, you are so cool. No, Mandy, you are cool. A host is only as cool as the people who frequent his shows. Tom Lerman says, Sidney Poitier passing in January. Heavy, heavy casualty. No, that was terrible. They call me Mr. Tibbs. Um, John Doe says Bloody Vampire was connected to the Brainiac. I did not know that. Teb says Coda won the Best Picture Oscar. First film with an all deaf, hearing impaired cast to do so. I did not know that. Well, you guys are coming with some great factoids tonight. Zuplik says El Dorado was like kids playing a Western. Wow. Bobby Renee says, poor Mandy, always accused when they say the butler did it. Ooh, but I love that. I love that. That's up there with one of my dad jokes. John Burton says Trey Hearn, just say Mississippi. Yeah. Go to Liza, go to Mississippi. Trey Thormeyer says, I like grilled pretzels with mustard. How could one not? Lance Chevin said James Conn in Rollerball. I love the original Rollerball. Wasn't crazy about the remake. Wasn't bad. Wasn't crazy about it. But I love the original. Mindy Butler says Thrash. Yes, Casablanca. Yeah, no, me too. Love it. Love it. Gary Carpenter says Patton. I love the movie Patton with George C. Scott. Lance Chafin says James Conn and Brian's song, my wife's favorite movie. Well, one of them. Pride of the Yankees is her all-time favorite. She loves sports tragedies, I guess, for some reason. What do you mean? It just jumped off the screen. What do you mean jumped off the screen? Know what I mean? The first movie in drive-in was Star Wars. First movie in theater was Popeye. I did see movies in the drive-in. I can't remember what my first one was. I do remember seeing Popeye, but can't remember the first drive-in movie I went to see. Teb says Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck finally tied the knot this year after having been apart for almost 2 decades. I wouldn't go buying any wedding gifts if I were you. Kevin Davis says, for me, if a movie takes place in space, then I tend to like it. I can certainly see that. There are a few exceptions, but I can certainly see that. Tug says 78. That is correct. Yeah. Oh, that's right, because you split the difference. My brother was 77 and my sister was 79. You're right smack dab in the middle. Kevin Davis says, I did see the movie Dark Star for the first time. I love Dark Star. For those of you who don't know, that was John Carpenter's student film, and I don't want to give the game away, but it's great. It's about the space patrol that goes around destroying unstable planetoids for the purposes of space colonization, and things kind of go downhill. James Dye says one of the best movies I've seen is a made-for-TV movie called Gargoyles. I actually bought. I was just talking. The guy who gave me the this like box set for the creature features and all that other stuff I showed you guys earlier. Mutual friend of ours. He loved that movie Gargoyles, and I actually got that for him years ago as a present. I love Gargoyles. It's a great film. They used to make some very nice made-for-TV movies. Mandy Butler says, no, you are cool. Well, okay, maybe I am cool. Thank you, Mandy. I'm going to blush. John Doe says, if anyone can go to Coney Island in Brooklyn, New York City, not the one in Worcester, for a boardwalk pretzel or a Nathan's world famous hot dog. Nathan's are the best dogs on the planet. I'll give you that much. John Bernstein says, I'm even older than diet soda. You can't be that old, man. Teb says Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's released their tell-all documentary on Netflix, and they can tell all they want. I'm not going to listen. Mandy Bella says, okay, Thrash. Zublik says, I remember Gargoyles. It starred Cornel Wilde. It did. Oh, I forgot it starred Cornel Wilde. He was in No Blade of Grass. Lance Chafin just said something that looked interesting. I'm going to go back and find it. Oh wow, I've lost everyone. Am I cool? Yes, Lance, you are very cool. Never let anyone think you're not cool. Yes, you're very cool, and I'm far behind again, so I'm gonna try to catch up again. Tom Lemery says the passing of Franco Harris, Pele, and Bob McGrath. Oh, I know Bob McGrath. Oh, that one was very, very sad. Gary Carver says Destroy All Monsters, The Day the Earth Stood Still. Excellent double feature. Tom says, as far as hot dogs go, I prefer Fenway Franks. You can still get those in this area here, in supermarkets. Mandy Butler says, what are your top 3 creature features? Wow. Off this box? Okay. I'm gonna have to check. Because I've seen a lot of them. This is gonna get really bright for a second. I'm gonna have to go with Nosferatu, Night of the Living Dead, and Destroy All Planets. Those are going to be my features of creatures off this box. Skipping down. Kevin Davis says, so now it is just Maria, Susan, and One of the Gordons left. Wow, I get sad when you put it like that way. Gary Cameron says Murder by Death. Love, love, love that movie. Very, very funny movie. Mandy Butler says, damn straight, the butler did it. You're welcome. Tug says, there was an article in People about Coda with a headline like, deaf actors don't want to be identified by their disability. I can see that. Tom Memory says Shirley Temple tap danced with Buddy Epson. Yeah, he was supposed to be the Tin Man in Wizard of Oz, but had a terrible allergic reaction to the aluminum dust they covered his body with. Tracy says, I'm originally from Chicago, so I like a good Chicago hot dog as well as a deep dish pizza, only we do it in Chicago. Les Javen says, or a corn dog is tasty. I had actually had corn dogs for dinner, actually. I got them at the supermarket. I cheat, but they're tasty. Gary Cabra says, Bed Knobs and Broomsticks, Mary Poppins. Good films. Oh, number one dude says he's always wanted Chicago style pizza. Remember Pizzeria Uno? That was Chicago style, wasn't it? Tracy, correct me if I'm wrong. Tab says Kate Bush's Running Up That Hill, which originally came out in the 80s, finally topped the charts thanks to season 4 of Stranger Things. I love seasons 1 and 2. Couldn't get through season 3, even with all the 80s nostalgia. I just couldn't get through season 3. Dilly Dan says, I saw Terror Train at the drive-in. Wow. That's a great thing to see on the drive-in. Tug says, first movie I remember in the theaters was Return of the Jedi. I still like the Ewoks no matter what Ian says. John Bernstein says, which came first, Rollerball or Pyramid? Pyramid. John Collins says, so, Bob, what was the first movie you went to for purely dark room PG rated romantic purposes? And was the actual film any good? That's a very good question. I'd say the first, well, I never liked romantic movies, to be honest with you. I liked action movies with a romantic subplot, like James Blunt, blah, 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 blah. I found to suck your blood. James Bond. But my mother hated that. It was very misogynistic. Ew. But I'd probably have to say Grease, because there's a certain romantic subplot, and I kind of had a crush on Olivia Newton-John. Speaking of Olivia Newton-John, so I'm gonna go with Grease, and the movie was good. Bobby Renee says first TV movie with movie The Gargoyles. First old movie on DVD was Race with the Devil. I was just reading an article about Race with the Devil. I love that movie. I believe Dark Corners did a review of it not too long ago. I saw it on TV when I was in my teens, and I still watch it from time to time when I can find it. But so few people actually know about that movie. It's a great one too. But yeah, I love Race with the Devil. Gary Carpenter says, Dan, I finally saw Terror Express. Wait, Terror Express or Horror Express? James Dye just said, I saw Island at the Top of the World in the drive-in. So did I. In fact, wasn't it a double feature? I remember, I could have sworn that was a double feature. There were 2 movies when they released that. We're talking mid-70s, right? But I loved Island at the Top of the World. Mandy Butler says Creature Pizza and Thrash. So me, a horror movie, and a pizza. That we should do that. We should do a watch along. That's what we'll do sometime. When I finally get the equipment all set up, we'll do a watch along of some public domain movie. I'll watch a movie with you, and we can all order our own type of pizza or microwave pizza, or there will be pizzas. Dan says, "Yeah, I saw Terror Train in the drive-in." Oh, Terror Train, not Terror Express. Terror Train in the drive-in. 9 months later on a dad. Okay. Cindy D says no wedding gifts for Bennifer. LOL Thrash. I don't think this is going to last particularly long, people. Just I know I'm not sounding very romantic, but I know I wouldn't put even money on this. Mike Silva says just watch Star Crash again. Fun movie. It's got Carolyn Monroe. How could it not be fun? Kevin Davis says, Tracy Ross Myers, do you put ketchup on Chicago style dogs? Opinion is divided. John Doe says, when it comes to hot dogs and pizza, it comes to a tie. But we can all agree no one talks about California pizza. No. But someone last week suggested the pizza pup. I don't know if any of you remember Orange Julius's very famous pizza dog, but this is even better. You take a square piece, like a Sicilian pizza, and you fold it so it becomes the bun. And then you put the hot dog in that. And I got to tell you, that sounds Yumsville to me. A heart attack waiting to happen. But Teb says, Thrash, what's your favorite pop culture moment of 2022? Ooh, that's a good one. My favorite pop culture moment. Well, I can't say favorite because there's your favorite and the one that will stand out in your memory as the signature event of that year. And the one that I will always remember, the one that I will always go to without getting into politics, because you know I'll never do that on this channel or even any of our affiliates. The one that will always stand out in my memory is Will Smith dope slapping Chris Rock. That one just stayed with me for so many reasons. And but I can't say it's my favorite because I didn't think Chris Rock getting cold cocked was a good thing. But that's the event that I will when I think 2022. That's like my boom. Like if they ever do another "We Didn't Start the Fire" song, the year 2020 will be marked by uh, Smith hits Rock, Rock bottom, if you ask me. Oh, let's just see. I jumped again, which means while I was pontificating, I got way behind. But that was a very good question, so I had to actually answer it um, in my alacrity of speech. Wow, I'm so behind again, and I have you guys to thank for it. Thank you for being so interactive. Oh, I need pizza. I know, Mindy, me too. Wow. Okay, so I've cut back up, and I'm gonna skip down really quick. Tim says, which TV shows did you watch in 2022? The one that I discovered the most wasn't from 2022, but I fell in love with it. Was Love, Death, and Robots, and it's a micro series on Netflix about with animation, uh, cutting edge animation, really really good stuff. John Burton says, yes, I can. Diet Right Cola debuted after I was born. I'm going to give it to you. So, John Bernstein, I am out of the water. Well, I remember the days before caffeine free cola. Does that count? Uh, Mandy Butler says, Thrasher, you on the coast? Yes, I live in Cape Cod, which is northeast coast. So yes, is your question. I live in fact, I live in a town that actually has two coastlines because we got the Bay to the north and Nantucket Sound to the south. The Sound of South. Zublik says Frankenstein, the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, and War of the Colossal Beasts. Amazing, amazing science fiction films. I'm just going to skip down a few so I can try to get caught up. Again, I apologize if I. Gary Cameron says Giant Claw, Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, and Fathoms, and the Deadly Mantis. Oh, I saw the Deadly Mantis when I was a little kid with my uncles. Very funny movie. Just see. Like I said, I'm just gonna try to catch up because Teb says Kanye West and Kim Kardashian officially divorced. Kim K and Pete Davidson broke up. Kanye changed his name to Yee and had a Britney-esque meltdown. Well stated. And those are all big moments, yes, but well stated. Number one dude says Zuplex, funny movie with Steve Martin. Uh, The Lonely Guy. My favorite Steve Martin movie is still gotta be The Jerk. Mandy Butler says werewolf or vampire thrash werewolves. Although vampires can be cool. John Doe says finally saw Time Track's complete series was super fun. Cindy D says, I guess you don't have a favorite rom com then Thrash. Oh, but I do. Must Love Dogs. I love Must Love Dogs. If I had a second one, if you'd afford me a second one, Return to Me. Oh, I actually cried during Return to Me. Um, my wife is a big rom-com fan, and I get her to watch some sci-fi and war films, and she gets me to watch some rom-coms, and sometimes we even enjoy the other person's genre. But no, I've seen quite a few rom-coms and have enjoyed more than you would guess. uh, Lance Chafin. His favorite rom-com is Overboard. That's a good one. Mandy Butler says Race with the Devil is the most disturbing movie for me. I can certainly see that. It especially spoiler, especially the ending. The ending like freaked me out when I was a kid. Tom Lemery says liked Rooster Cogburn and True Grit. Always room for a good western. Gary Carpenter says Horror Express. My bad. I actually do a spot on that. You guys got to start watching some of my older stuff and like and comment on it as well as proof that you actually watched it. But yes, I do a thing on Horror Express. LCDD says, I like when Harry met Sally Lance. Uh, Zuplik says, why is pizza never served in theaters? It is. I've seen it in movie theaters. They had a couple on Cape Cod that had some actually very nice Sicilian style pizza. James Dice says, may have been Patton. I did see that in the drive-in too, but I don't know if it was the same night. Patton was a good movie. John Bernstein says corn dogs are easy to make. You poke a chopstick through a hot dog and dip them in cornbread batter. Then suspend the hot dog in oil until the cornbread is cooked. Yes, yes, but you don't have to. You can actually use bites. I actually had the bites. Tug says, like a drunk and an old midnight choir. uh, Tom says, once saw John Wayne, his security was tight in the presence. I can see that. John Doe says, I've been asking about a watch along for some time, and I want to do one. I need to get the new technology up and going. My granddaughter, since she's been on school vacation this week, has been spending a lot of time at friends, hasn't been home. She's the one who promised to help me with my new technology. I've also been working this week, so it's been kind of crazy for me. But I might have some time off from work. They're closing for some renovations. As a result, I might have my new technology up and going by the middle of next month. But don't lose hope, Pons' people. Do not lose hope. I will hopefully have it in the very, 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 very soon. And I jumped again, so I'm very discreetly going, holy cow, am I far back? Okay. Daryl Johnson says, saw Jason and the Argonauts at the drive-in. I saw that with my cousin when I was like 4 or 5. I was visiting him for Christmas, and I was staying in his room, and he had his own TV. Dan says, I'm old. I think my first crush was Emma Peel. Loved her in the Avengers. My father had a crush on Emma Peel, and here's where it gets funny. My father had a crush on Emma Peel, and I had a crush on her later on when I watched it reruns. It was a generational crush. John Burton says, pizza puppies. They were everywhere. Okay, so it was you that suggested that. Thank you. Tracy Meyer says, I would do eggplant parmesan. I love it. We have a wonderful eggplant parmesan. In fact, I just had it not too long ago. So Teb says, House of Dragon, the Game of Thrones prequel, was adored by everyone who wants to forget about the infamous 8th and final season of Game of Thrones. Couldn't agree with you more. I did like House of Dragons. I didn't like the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones, to be honest with you. 7 was certainly superior to 8, but yet 8 really took a nosedive. And I heard now that they're actually working on the continuing adventures of Jon Snow, which is a pity because I think he is the least interesting of all the survivors. John Collins says, "Is your niece going to help with your equipment, or your granddaughter, or whoever the feminine family member is that is supposed to help you with your new computer equipment? Are they going to help you?" Yes, they are. It was the granddaughter, and she's on school vacation, and so she's been visiting friends. Has literally hasn't been home this week, but she is going to help me with it. And since I've been working, I haven't had much time to do it anyway. But like I said, I hope she'll have it at the beginning of the month. Remember, the beginning of the month is next week, so I can start very, 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 very soon. Gary Carmen says Earth versus the Flying Saucers and Clash of the Titans. Love those two movies. Saw Clash of the Titans last day of seventh grade. It was my when I finished school. My mother had me a little reward. She and my friends could go to the movies the first night we didn't have school the next day. It was like a tradition I had when I was a kid. And seventh grade we saw Clash of the Titans. Tom says I gave up on The Walking Dead. Haven't we all? Tug says, which is a greater sin, Thresh? Hitting Chris Rock or making I Am Legend? Oh, oh, I'm a Richard Matheson fan. I consider his I Am Legend to be not only the worst of all the renditions of the Chris Matheson, um, Richard Matheson, epic, classic. But I consider it one of the worst film adaptations of a book across the board. They miss the very point of the story without getting into details. It was terrible. I'm gonna have to skip down. Manny Butler, Thrash, are you on the East Coast? Yes. East Coast, yes, of the United States. Suplex says, looks like it's not going to happen. Better call customer service T-Pongs. Oh, ye of little faith. Tom says, speaking of It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, when Jimmy Durante as Smiler Grogan kicked the bucket was funny. Sadly, yes. Probably one of the funniest death scenes we have on television. Mandy Butler says, I'm on the West Coast. That would be the other son. Tom says Thrash is at Cape Cod. He sure is. I'm just going to kind of skip down. We must man the lighthouses. So, again, Teb says Abbott Elementary continues the tradition of the mockumentary style single cam sitcom. That's good. I'm just skipping down. Bobby Renee says, I live on a golf course similar to your Gulf Coast, man. Wajimine says, as much hype with Rock and Smith, I still feel that was staged. Ooh, interesting theory. It may not be a popular opinion. It's just how I feel. It's a very interesting theory. I'm not sure. I would have to do more research. Dilly Dan says, "Hey, wait, Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms." Daryl John says, "Wasn't Jaws filmed on Cape Cod? Close, Martha's Vineyard, the little island right across Nantucket Sound from us." But yes, a lot of people. It's called the area is called the Cape and Islands, and includes the islands of Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket. So yes, I'm just. I think I'm almost caught up. Almost. Oh, I'm actually caught up. But if I miss anybody's comments, please forgive me. Tug says, I'm not getting any buffering. Sometimes, if you, as a watcher, leave and come back, that cures it for you. Good suggestion. I can't do that myself. And if you made an interesting comment before he wrote that, please send it again, and I'll try to keep up this time. You guys are really, really giving me a lot to work with, and I appreciate it. Cindy D says, "Oh, Sherry is good." I'm still a fan of "Don't Stop Believing." That's my favorite song by Journey. Mike Silva says, "Has anybody seen the Yesterday Machine?" That sounds wicked familiar, but I can't place it. Mandy Butler says, "I'm in the Gulf Coast, guys." Oh, the Gulf Coast. So you're down like between Texas and Florida, I'm guessing. Mike Silva says, so happy no one has seen Teenagers from Outer Space movie. It's unwatchable classic. I own it. It's the MFT3K version, but I own it. Um, that actually, I have a theory, is one of the movies they based Terminator on, in addition to the works of Harlan Ellison. But that's just me. Uh, Tug says, I did do a review of Scanners, just saying. We'll have to check it out. I don't know if I've seen that one, but I've liked all the others. So Teb says the Parkland school shooter was sentenced to multiple life sentences instead of the death penalty. No justice. Sorry, for people who don't agree with that, but I'll leave that one there. But Gary Carpenter says Mike S. the Doomsday Machine with Ruta Lee. Oh, isn't Pat McCormick doing an interview with Ruta Lee this week? Mike Silva says Gary Fun movie YouTube had it already seen it. John Collins says Bob. John Collins disappeared. Bob, by the way, wasn't that speech which Herschel Walker gave about werewolves very strange? Remember, we don't do politics on this channel. We're getting awfully close to talking politics. Zuplik says now David Cronenberg should do a film about a man who has the power to provoke exploding diarrhea. Oh. Mandy Butler says Fright Night is the ultimate vampire movie. Yes, it is. It has one of the best soundtracks. I own the soundtrack. Love it. Great soundtrack. Teb says Evan Peters gave the best performance of his career as Jeffrey Dahmer in Netflix Dahmer Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. I still haven't seen that, but I've heard it's amazing. I want to check it out. Gary Cameron says Mandy Blade is really good. There's a lot of very good vampire movies, but again, I really like Fright Night. Tug says, too late, Mike Silva. I've already watched it. Can't unwatch it. There's not much chance I'll ever cover it as a classic. Cindy D says, Thrash, what is your favorite woman named song? Do you like Amanda by Boston? I like Sarah by Starship or Sherry by Steve Perry. Amanda's really good. Um, there's so many named after women, but promise you won't make fun of me. I'd probably have to go with Mandy. I know, I know, I know, I know. It's a very, it plugs at your heartstrings. But all the ones you mentioned are good as well. But I'd probably the one when I think of a song named after a woman, I'd have to go with Mandy. Gary Carpenter says Mandy to you. uh, Tom says I'll send you something in January, Bob. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Oh, John Bernstein says Rosemary by Edison Lighthouse. Mike Silva says Geek Chemistry 3K version. Only way I can watch. The acting is so terrible. Yeah, I'm with you there. Teb says Ned Fulmer was fired by the Try Guys for being a cheater. Literally, I never knew that. Teb says Elon Musk bought Twitter. He certainly did. We'll see how long that lasts. Host, anybody can hear me. Oh, anyone can be here, but only you can be our host. I'm going to read that again. That's actually very touching. Bobby Renee says, host, anybody can be here, but only you can be our host. Thank you. Thank you. Doug says, no politics. I mean, Emily's not even here. I know. Give me the laugh. Oh, I jumped again. Oh, damn it. Well, I'll try to catch up. Yeah, where is Emily? Now that you mention it. Oh well, I'm sure she's busy. Let's just see. Oh, is Tracy leaving us? Yep. So, Tug says Chris Sarandon is having so much fun in that movie, and don't forget Roddy. How could you? Griffith Meyer says, "Well, guys, have a great New Year's Day. It's almost bedtime for me. We understand. Thank you for joining us." Uh, mm. Dilly Dan says, "Yeah, there's only one movie that ever traumatized me: The Human Centipede." Ooh, the description of that movie traumatized me. Number dude says Daily Dan the good stuff. I started watching that, but I didn't get far. John Doe says 21 Jump Street came out was between junior high and high school. Sweet times. Teb says, "What will you expect to see in 2023?" I'm just hoping to make it to 2024. A lot of people talk about the human centipede. Ew, I can't. Tom says 2023 nuclear war. Dude, okay. We can be a little more optimistic than that. Uh, Zublik says the end of civilization, hungry jerk. I hopefully not. Tom Lemery says I'm surprised. Uh, oh, no one mentioned the chat on yogurt yet. I'm sorry, you jumped. I had to find it again. Let's just see here. John Bernstein says Barry Manilow charged the. I'm sorry. Barry Manilow changed the title to Mandy from Brandy after Looking Glass went number one with a song by the title Brandy. The original Brandy for Barry Manilow was released in England. I did not know that. Although I do like Brandy. In fact, that's when I used to actually do karaoke. I used to actually sing that song, believe it or not. And no, I'm not going to sing it to you now because my voice is blood curdling. I'm trying to find a piece of paper here so I can actually provide you with that. Oh, here's a piece of paper. I'm going to write this down again. It's my YouTube email address. Okay. Can you read that? It's Thrash Pondo 10 for 10 at, and I ran a room. It's at gmail.com. So that's all you have to, once you get that, go to where Gmail is at. Cat. That you crazy. So hopefully that'll work for you. Everyone who's been looking for my address. Let's just see here. Oh, Dillian says once again, Soylent Green takes place in 2022. Eek! Tug says I had fruit and yogurt for dinner with granola. I feel so healthy, it's awful. Daryl Jones says, and no singing. Gary Carter says Mandy from White Christmas. Mandy Butler says Brandy is a better song. Well, at least I could sing it. It's in my range. Mike Silva says Geek ever seen Shopping Mall? Number one dude says Tug. That's what I should be eating to lose these excess weight I've had for the past 2 decades. Been there, done that. Tug says Mike Silva, the guy who did that voice, also did a ton of uncredited alien voices throughout that show. I just learned. I did not know that. Cindy D says, I agree, Mandy. I love Brandy too. Yet it is a great song. There's a war on the Western Bay. Cindy D says, message retracted. Message retracted to you too. John Bernstein says, I kill at that song at karaoke. I even do it a cappella. I do a cappella instrumentals. John Doe says, hopefully next year would be better than a cup of spoiled yogurt. Oh, I know. Much better than a cup of spoiled yogurt. Cindy D says, Thrash is a poet and he knows it. Yes, I do know it. Tug has not seen the shopping mall. Keith E says, I know it's her attraction. I assume you mean Emily Miller. John Collins says, Bob, I accept your giggle in the relation of my last comment about the werewolves. I will stay mum on the subject in this forum since your channel is non political, except to say I too share your giggle. Thank you, John. Zuplik says, unapologetic. Did you know geeks bite the heads off chickens? That's where the term comes from. Yes, yes. Bobby Renee says, host, Tug is in love because he has to say he's sorry. Oh, I'll read that again. I missed never. Tug is in love because he never has to say he's sorry. Speaking of movies I haven't seen that are rom-coms, my wife wanted to watch Love Story once, and I said, love is never having to see this movie. She actually thought that was funny. Tom says they serve pizza at theaters in California. Yeah, we have them here too. Tug says, yes, I did know that, Zuber. I like the rest of the chicken. Well, not the feet. Ew, not the feet. Number one dude says, I sing in the shower and still annoy my family. Everyone still annoys their family. Gary Carpenter says, geek. What nut would eat the feet? Good point. Mike Silva says, geek. Nothing like watching the movie Coffee on Pluto. I like the movie Coffee. Tom says, I cook chicken feet. Won't try one. Tug says, after all that we've been through, I will make it up to you. I promise to. And after all that's been said and done, you're just the part of me I can't let go. I know that's a terrible Peter Cetera. Although Rob Lamb is still my favorite singer in Chicago. Tom Lemery says, Pam Grier, Mike Silva, yep, she was Coffee. Mike Silva says, geek, cool. Hey, I'm the one who sang it. And Mike goes on to say, yes, Tom, great movie. Gary Carver says, rather have the legs. Out of the chicken, yes, wouldn't we all? Cindy D says, love story is good, great joke. You had me laughing. Thank you. Thank you. I'll tell my wife you like the joke as well. Lynn Chapin says, how about the class of 1999 8th Psalm? Oh, Pam Grier. I thought you were talking about the Psalms. It's a biblical movie. Gary Cameron says, love story. Bleh. Number two says, sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Joy's got nuts. Tom says he met Pam Grier years ago. She lives in Colorado because weed is legal. It's legal here in Massachusetts too. Not that I would need to know that. Daryl John says Notting Hill is a good movie. My wife loves Notting Hill. My mother does too. Les Chafin says buffering. You know, guys, I'm thinking we might have to call it early tonight if this buffering keeps up. But let's press on for a little bit longer. Actually, we're at the hour and a quarter. Wow, where the time goes. And I'm thinking we should probably keep it to an hour and a half tonight. So, not that I have to encourage you, please hit me with any other comments, and we'll kind of pull the plug at 8:30. Bite my tongue, 9:30 ish. But I missed a couple while I was giving that. So, Mandy Belton says he's a good man in a bad time. He's a good man. Although my favorite is still the armies of the night are coming, they're coming. Life could be a dream for you. Sorry. Tom says, I cook eggplant parmesan. Well, if you work in an Italian restaurant, you almost have to. Cindy D says, Peter Cetera's best song was Restless Heart. Manny Bell says Chris Sarandon. Yes, he was the vampire. Chris Sarandon was the vampire in Fright Night. Fright Night. Is Lance? I see people saying goodbye to Lance. I don't want to encourage Lance to go, but if Lance is leaving, he does say nighters, guys. Lance, thank you so much for joining us. By the way, guy, I'll talk to you on Facebook tomorrow or something. But anyway, thanks for joining us. We do have a few more minutes to go if you want to stick, but if you don't, I more than understand. John Burton says Peter Cetera, he left Chicago, but then, I know, Peter Cetera took over for Rob Lamb, if I remember the story correctly. Oh, and by the way, if anyone knows this, I already know the answer. What does 25 or 6 to 4 mean? Anyway, skipping forward, Tug says the guy who wrote Love Story was a professor who was trying to make an example of what not to do as a writer. That might be apocryphal. I don't care. Apocryphal or not, that's a great story, and even I'm buffering on this end. But wow, that's a great story. Love it, love it. Suplex has an experience in buffering. Wow. Number one dude says 7:13 here. That means your Rockies time. Hey, Rockies! Manny Moore goes, "Aw." John Doe says, "No buffering from me." Manny Moore says, "Me too." Mike Silva says, 9:13 here, Pawns. Yeah, you're Rhode Island? I'm sorry, you have to tell me where you're from every week. I don't know. Tab says, I'm going to get going. Happy 2023. Tab, thank you so much for joining us, by the way. Oh, and while all those of you who are still here, remember, I am doing a show Monday, God willing. Monday, because ENC is not going to be able to, so I'm going to do a solo show. John Collins says, Bob, does where you live on Cape Cod have a supposed other side of the tracks, or do you all live on the tracks? It all sounds so picturesque and opulent. Who was your closest family neighbor? Oh, I have people who live right across the street. In fact, I live on a very tiny street. It is 2 houses, and I'm one of them. Yes, unfortunately, there's a lot of. They talk about this. I don't know if many of you watch American Horror. They actually do one set in Provincetown, and they talk about the sort of less fashionable side of Cape Cod, but there's some pretty dicey stuff here on Cape Cod. So, yeah, there's the other side of the tracks. You could definitely say. Mandy Butler says Thrash Armies of the Night are coming, and they're coming. Yes, very good. You got it. Tom Lemery says, yes, remember Jane? She was on CBS Sports show in the 70s through the 80s. Your says, did you know Eric Segal never Tommy Lee Jones, and Tommy's first film was Love Story? No, I did not know that. I honestly did not know that. Manny Butler says, you have good taste. Thank you. Tom says, I asked Dave to do a thing on Jane Kennedy. Oh. John Burton says, it's not even 6:30. 6:30? It's 9:17 where I am. But of course, you got to remember that we're in different time zones. But yeah, I'm going to give it to at least 9:30. Well, my time. So it's going to be after 6:30 your time. Zublik says Eric Siegel knew Tommy Lee Jones. I did not know that. Dilly Dan giving more links. Thank you. Oh, there's a hint. Apparently, there's something he wants us to watch. Tom Lemery says 25 or 64 is about time. Yes, they were having a late night audio session, and they just couldn't get the tracks down. And my understanding was some chemicals were being partook upon. And one of them asked the other, "What time is it?" And what he wanted to say is, "It's like 3:35 or 3:36," but he was so wired, he couldn't read the clock right. He goes, it's 25 or 6 to 4. 25 or 26 minutes to 4 o'clock. And for some reason, the rest of the band thought it was so funny they went into hysterics, and they ended up working into the refrain. True story. Mike Silva says Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Yes, I was right. It was Rhode Island. Yes, the Paw Sox. Ziplik says, I wonder what happened to the foundation. I'm betting he had to go to work. Tug says he had to go to bed. I thought he said he was. Did he say he had gotten home from work? I thought he said he was heading to work. Maybe he works weird hours. I don't know. I worked weird hours for years. Uh, uh, we'll go with you. Maybe he had just got over work and was going to bed. Tom Lemley says she guest starred on $6 Million Man with Sony Bono. I did not know that. John Collins says, Bob, I didn't ask where was your closest neighbor or how close was your neighbor. I did, however, ask whom is your closest. Oh, my closest famous neighbor. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed famous. My closest famous neighbor. At the moment, I don't know. I don't. The famous people who live in Cape Cod kind of keep it under their hat for reasons that are all too obvious. I will tell you, Robert Dunham, who did some Godzilla movies, was actually living in the town next door to me when he passed on a few years ago. Um, that's the only thing I can tell you off the top of my head. Mike Silva says, "Attack the killer tomatoes." John Doe says, "Thrash, did you ever see Island City?" It doesn't sound familiar. I don't think so. I'll go with no. I'll go with no. I'll check out the IMDb later in case I knew it by another title or just not remembering it. But Mike Silva says, "Geek, no one mentioned Earth versus the Spider." Wasn't that the one that was actually considered to be Clint Eastwood's film debut? I know he and Mara Corday were lifelong friends. And he actually got her some work later on in the Dirty Harry movie. She played a woman who ran a sort of a breakfast diner. Cindy D says, "Don't ask my neighbor." Daryl Johnson says 2:19 a.m. in London. Well then, it's London after midnight. Gary Carpenter says, "My guess, the beast from the haunted cave. I have that. Is that the one with the big spider thing that attacks the ski resort and the gangsters show up?" Tom says Harlan Ellison was always drunk. No kidding. No kidding. I did not know that. I know he suffered from writer's block for the last 30 years of his life. Gary Carpenter says Katharine Hepburn lived there. Zuplik says T-Pons, did you ever see Dark City? Yes, years ago. Oh, Gary Carpenter says Tarantula was his first movie. I always get those two mixed up. I don't know why. John Doe says post-apocalyptic TV movie from 1994 about. Oh, well, no, I haven't seen it, but I love post-apocalyptic movies. I'll have to check it out. What was the title again? I completely spaced. Do me a favor, write that title again, please. Um, Tom says you're in London, Daryl. Tom Lemony says gonna head out. Take care of everyone. Happy New Year. Don't drink and drive. What he said. Tom, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great New Year, and I'll see you. Hopefully, I'll see you that show on Monday. Mike says Gary agreed. Sublik says who? Tommy Lee Jones? Are we back on Tommy Lee Jones? Doug says I thought Clint Eastwood's first movie was Revenge of the Creature. Ooh, another country heard from. He played the biology student in Revenge of the Creature. Oh, maybe that was his first one. But the Spider movie was the one that Mara Corday got him. Mike Silva says Tarantula was the movie that Mara Corday got him. Yes. And he does. Mike Silva goes on to put out Pawn's Revenge of the Creature. What's his first movie? Yes, thank you. Cindy D says good night. Have a good New Year. You as well. Daryl Jones says no. I'm in Washington State. No, he just happens to know the time in London. I think he was explaining why the foundation had to go. Was that it was getting really late in the UK? No way, UK. Tug says, yeah, IMBD says Revenge of the Creature came up before Tarantula. Good old Imb. John Doe says Island City. I'm gonna write that down. Island City. Because I forget things. Excellent. Oh, and Gary Carpenter. Did you have enough information for my and everyone else for my email address? Fingers crossed. If not, I'll write it down more legibly. We'll try it on Monday. I'll put it in big block letters. Daryl Jones says he was looking for the mouse. It was in his pocket. There's a song in there somewhere. Gary Carver says the creature from the Black Lagoon is highly underrated. It really is. It's a great movie. It really is. That was one of Benicio del Toro's, the classic sci-fi horror movie icon. One of his favorite movies, which is used as a template for A Shape of Water. And I'm telling you guys nothing you don't already know. So, but yes, it is an underrated movie. By the way, did any of you guys like oh, not The Contagion, The Strain? Did you guys like The Strain? I loved it because he used everything he could possibly get his hands on vampires for it. John Doe says, never drink and drive. You might hit a bump and spill your drink. We said that when I was in high school. I remember that from that. You might hit the, but you had to say it in the sort of drunk. Never drink and drive. You might hit a bump and spill your drink. Number one dude says Revenge of the Nerds was funny. Yes, it was. Doug says Gary, it's one of my favorites. So he says, I'm not leaving. I said that to Tom. I'm not, again, no one has to leave. If you are leaving, I want to make sure I say goodbye to you, but stay as long as you'd like. Mike Silva says, Geek, my favorite is Star Crash, Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Good films. I don't know if they make a good double feature, but I like both of them. Tug says it was the first movie I ever saw in 3D. I'm assuming the creature walks among us. So the creature movie, whichever one was in 3D. Bobby Renee says Food of the Gods. That's the one that's loosely based on H.P. Lovecraft. Not H.P. Lovecraft. Wait. Not H.P. Lovecraft. H.G. Wells. H.G. Wells. Which I recently read. The reason I was thinking H.P. Lovecraft is Brian Aldiss wrote a novella called The Saliva Tree, which was sort of his love letter to H.G. Wells, but he decided to go dark with it. So it's sort of H.G. Wells' Food of the Gods meets The Color Out of Space. So it's sort of like H.G. Wells and H.P. Lovecraft had a amalgam. Tug says, I think you mean. Did I say Benicio del Toro? Have I been saying Benicio del Toro all night? Well, for the last 3 or 4 times, it wasn't all night. Yes, Guillermo del Toro is the famous sci-fi horror filmmaker who did The Shape of Water and The Strain and many others. Yes, Benicio del Toro is a competent action movie actor and who I believe did beer commercials for a while and has nothing to do with sci-fi filmmaking. Thank you, Tug. I do that a lot. I was doing Michelle Williamson earlier, so do I smell toast? I shouldn't kid. John Collins says, Bob, have you ever thought about writing a novel? I know the answer to the Chicago song reference. They were all so high when they were recording, writing it. They couldn't read the clock correctly. You are correct. And I did write a book. It's called Can I Speak to Your Manager? And it's a collection of quasi anecdotal short stories from my days working in retail. But I would consider a novelization. Zublik says he is convincing as Raquel Welch as a scientist in. He is as convincing as Raquel Welch as a scientist in Fantastic Voyage. I can't read tonight. Tug says yes, the strain is great. Read the books too. I really should. Someone told me that the books are actually better. I really should. He borrowed from Brian Aldiss's Dracula Unbound, among other sources when he made it. By the way, great stuff. Great stuff. Daily Dan has given us another link, which just jumped past my screen. Oh, he's gonna have to change phones. That's okay. We're probably wrapping up as it were. But if I miss you, by the way, Dan, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for all the links. And if you haven't subscribed to all of Dan's channels, please do. He's been putting out some amazing material as late. Tug says the worst scientist in a movie. Denise Richards as a nuclear physicist in The World Is Not Enough. All right, I'll give you that one. Zuplex says, I don't know which was worse, John Wayne as Genghis Khan in The Conqueror or Raquel Welch as a scientist in Fantastic Voyage. John Wayne. John Wayne. Kevin Scott 76 is here. It says hi from Rocket City. Kevin, wicked sorry. We are literally, not figuratively, literally just wrapping up. So glad you could make it. I will give you a shout out. Guys, you got to subscribe to his channel, by the way. It's absolutely for those of you who don't know, what he does is he takes theme songs from one famous TV show and overlaps it with the opening credit sequence from another show to see how they match up. And it's really, really slick. You got to check it out. You got to check it out. Cindy says, never saw Kentucky Fried Movie. Is that John Carpenter? He may do one of the vignettes. It's a series of vignettes, and he may do. I don't know who directed all of them. Let's just see. A lot of people bashing on Raquel Welch, and deservedly so. A lot of people saying Happy New Year. Yes, Happy New Year to everyone. John H says, LOL. Oh, John H. Man, John H. Hello, John H. LOL Thrash used wicked as an adverb. Yes, I'm from New England after all. John H., I'm very, very glad you could make it. Just, again, very, very, very sorry. We're just getting ready to wrap things up. So thank you for joining us. And you're welcome to stay to the bitter end, but I'm sorry you won't have much with us tonight. Please watch the rest in rebroadcast. And for those of you who just got here, one thing I want to say is this coming Monday, I am doing another show. It's going to have to be a solo show because Ian is unavailable. So we'll see you Monday on this channel for those of you who can make it. Keith E says 2023 is the year of the Thrash Pondo Pawns. Thrash! I am going to make that happen. John H says, sure, son of a New Englander. Yes, I am. It's wicked dark. It's dark. It's wicked dark. Let's just see. John Collins says, Bob, is your book available for purchase? And is it in audio format? If it were on either account, I will purchase it in an instant or this instant. Not at the moment, but thank you. I will keep you posted. If I ever get it even close to being published, I'll let you know. John H says, R.W. won Worst Actress of All Time Golden Turkey Award. I think I remember that. A buddy of mine had the Golden Turkey Awards books. Oh, Johnny says that's okay. And well, again, I'm sorry that you came in towards love, but I'm so glad you could make it. It's so great to see you as always. Gary Carpenter says Raquel is a very pretty lady. She certainly is. Let's not forget that. Zublik says T. Pons wrote a book. Yes, I did. It's called "Can I Speak to Your Manager?" I just haven't had it published yet. But baby steps, baby steps. Cindy says Raquel Welch played an alien on Mork and Mindy very badly, I might add. She wasn't a great actress. You know, Dave Claroni is in the house. We're getting all these people under the wire. Dave Claroni says, Thresh, you have a book? Yes, it's called Can I Speak to Your Manager? Have I published it yet? No. I will keep you posted. Two more bits of information that Dave, if you've missed it, very sorry. Monday, I'm doing a solo live chat. So the live chat Monday will be here at 8 o'clock and not on Ian's channel. Ian is unavailable. And I'm very sorry. We're just about to wrap things up here. So unfortunately, you won't have much more content to go by. But thank you for joining us at this sort of late stage of the ball game. Gary Carpenter says, Thrasher, if you do make a book, you can put my name on it. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just skipping through. Mike and Kathy popping in to say hi, Happy New Year. Mike and Kathy, again, I'm letting everybody know we're kind of getting ready to wrap things up. And I'm trying to make sure that I get to everybody who kind of came in late to the ball game. A couple things. One, this coming Monday is a solo, so it's going to be on my channel, not on Ian's. He's not available this coming Monday, and it'll be at 8. Sadly, we are going to come wrapping things up here, but Happy New Year to all of you who just popped in. And see, I've been reading comments so fast, I think I missed a couple people when they came in. But anyway, I think I'm caught up. Mike Silva says MST3K joke. Whatever happened to impartiality? The milkman, the paperboy, Mac and me. Mike and Kathy say love Fantastic Voyage. Zuplik says hungry jerk. I think Raquel's poster was to the 60s what Farrah Fawcett's was to the 70s. I can certainly see that. Gary Carpenter says you should see her on The Muppets. She was very attractive in The Muppets. Johnny says Raquel Welch was funny on Seinfeld, making fun of herself. Tug says Happy New Year to all and good night, Thrash, and everyone else. See you back here Monday, and check out my Kroll review on Sunday. If you'd be so kind, we certainly will. Good night, Tug. So yeah, again, if I missed anybody's comment, if I missed anybody's hello, I mean, there were a few comments that kind of came in that kind of threw me by the way because people, I don't know if they left and came back like Big Guys does, although I haven't seen him in quite some time. But in any event, if I missed anything from anybody tonight, please bear with me. I've been trying very, very hard to keep up with everything. And if I missed you, please don't take it personal. Anyway, I'm going to kind of wrap things up here. I want to thank everybody for your content and for like being as interactive as you are always. I will see you all Monday. And anyway, be good, be safe, be careful. I'm looking to see you all again very, 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 very soon. Peace.